Hello. Today at Wine Searcher, our content team have just published an article suggesting that the wines of Alto Adige or the Sudtirol in northern Italy are some of the best combinations you can make for Thanksgiving with the sort of foods you're going to be eating. And that set me thinking that actually these are great food wines, and one of the wines that I've really enjoyed this year has been from Cantina Terlano, or Kellerei Terlan if you're in German, and this is their Nova Domus, which is a Riserva from 2018, and the cooperative here was founded in, I think, 1893, and in fact they have their own, pretty much their own appellation or DOC, in that the Alto Adige Terlano DOC. I don't know if you can see that there on the label, I hope you can. So their wines are very particular, in an area where, when they started, red wine was predominant. They make mostly white wines, and they make them to a really high standard. This is a fascinating wine. It's predominantly Pinot Blanc, from quite high altitude, so giving it quite a cool, fresh acidity approach. So that's 60% of the blend. The next 30% is Chardonnay to give an extra roundness. That's from slightly lower altitude vineyards, and to go alongside those, there's another 10% of Sauvignon Blanc, just giving us sort of a much more lifted, fruity note to the wine, just to finish it off there. So the Alto Adige, we're sort of about 5 kilometres, or Terlano in the Alto Adige is about 5 kilometres northeast of Bolzano, with sort of heading up towards the Alps. So some lovely cool climates. So when you're getting to some of the vineyards, the Pinot Blanc for this comes from a vineyard that's 600 metres above sea level, or up to 500 to 600 metres above sea level. And that's giving really good acidity retention because of the cool nights, but also you're getting fantastic sunlight because of the hillside vineyards. So you're getting ripeness but freshness as well. And this is a really interesting combination. So the Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, as I say, come from lower altitude vineyards, about 300, 350 metres. So they're a little fuller. The malolactic conversion is conducted for Pinot Blanc and Chardonnay to add roundness, but malic acid is retained for the Sauvignon Blanc to give a lovely crispness there. The wine then ages for an extended period in large oak with its yeast lees, giving it again a little bit more roundness. So a fascinating wine, and very typical for this cooperative and this particular area. Great quality. So let's talk about it a little bit there. I love the colour. There's a lovely intensity of pale yellow, if you can have an intensity of pale yellow. There's almost a greenish hint here to it. So let's have a look at the aromas. And the aromas, again, the aromas are intense, but they're not jumping out of the glass at me. They're intense in a restrained sort of way. What have we got here? We've got minerality. And what do I mean by minerality? I mean aromas of stone, wet stone, flint, things like that. And then behind that, there's a high-toned blossom note. I like to think lime flower. And then there's a greenness, possibly coming from the Sauvignon Blanc. But that's become a sort of a liminess, almost as if there were Riesling in here. And then behind all that, there's a roundness that's come, almost dairy notes, from this lees aging. So the dead yeast stirred up in the barrel to give a bit more richness to the wine. So really fascinating nose, lovely intensity, quite nicely together. And the palate. The first thing that's apparent on the palate are toasty fermentation notes there, possibly a little something coming from the oak. The creamy texture is there. The wine is really only medium bodied, and it's got a lovely crispness, and the flavours are lasting well. It's mouth watering. The liminess, the blossom notes are all still there. There's a fantastic intensity of flavour, and the flavours are just lasting so well. Pairing with food, this has this really cutting acidity, which is fantastic, but it's not tart. It's just been kept in check nicely by the leesy notes and the combination of the grape varieties being used there and their various altitudes there. It's a wine with lovely intensity. I think perhaps if I'm going to criticise it, it's The toastiness, the fermentation aromas. This is a 2018. I think this is a wine that could probably age for another couple of years and will perhaps become a little more rounded. The fruit would fill out and become a little more honeyed. But great with fairly rich fish, sort of salmon or with tuna or something like that, or with veal or richer white meats. Really cracking wine, one I've really enjoyed. So yes, thank you very much for watching. Bye now.